Hey, vinyl community, how's it going? So I am trying to catch up on some contests. There seem to be a lot of them going around the VC at the moment, and I want to start with one of the oldest contests. I hope it's still going on. Hope that I haven't missed out on this one, but even so, I want to do it because I want to support this channel. This contest is for my friend Rod, the Happy Hippy. Fantastic channel. If you have not yet checked out Rod's channel, please do. It is no bullshit rock and roll. He tells it like it is, shows his collection, and you're not going to get any ridiculous crap like you do on this channel. He plays it straight, and I really enjoy his channel, and I'm always amazed by his collection. So definitely check Rod out. He's been a friend of this channel. He's always participated in my contests, so want to reach out and do the same for him. But his contest is a Kiss concert. He's got a Kiss bootleg that he is giving away. And so with that theme in mind, he wants us to show albums by artists that have the K, an artist with a K, an artist with an I, and then one with an S and another with an S. So very simple. First one I'm going to show is the Kinks, and this is their album Something Else. This came out, I believe, in 1967, so we're talking like the height of the psychedelic era. But the Kinks were not very psychedelic at all, actually. They kind of sidestepped that whole psychedelic rock movement, even though their contemporaries were the Rolling Stones and the Who and the Beatles. And this is very much kind of a poppy, a traditional English type themes on here. The big hit, I think, was David Watts, but you've got Death of a Clown, you've got Situation Vacant, Waterloo Sunset, one of the most beautiful songs that the Kinks ever released. Lazy Old Sun, which influenced the Pink Floyd track off their, I believe it was the Adam Hart Mother album, Fat Old Son. But just a great, really underrated album. I mean, a lot of people consider this probably the Kinks' best album of the 1960s. Maybe, maybe not. But for me, it is. I enjoy every track off here. It's just got a very English, folky, but pop sensibility there. And I think the songs are great. This is on the Reprise label. I'm going to pull this out because it is one of my favorite. I love that kind of goldish label that you have here. A lot of Neil Young's albums have that label. So great record, throw on the turntable, and one of my favorite albums of the 60s. So now I'm going to go into the I, and the band I have picked for I is INXS. This is their third album, Shaboo Shabba. The first exposure I had to INXS was when the video for The One Thing came on MTV, but this also has Don't Change, which was a big single and a big hit for them. But To Look at You, which is sort of a deeper album track, Spy of Love, everything on here is great. This is really where INXS came into their own. They kind of dabbled around with a little bit of synth pop and some kind of quirky new wave tracks on their first two albums, but they finally got it together with their third album. This is excellent. Definitely my favorite INXS album of the 80s. Yes, I think it's better than Kick even, but I think it's great. Cover art is very mysterious. Not sure what in the hell is going on here, but the music on it is fantastic. And that is my I. For my first S, this is a band that I don't think too many people know about or remember. You may have seen one of their videos on MTV. This was their second studio album. They had an EP also, which came out before this album. Not this album, but the album before. Their debut album was called Especially For You. This was their second album, Green Thoughts. They finally got some popularity on MTV, and Girl Like You, which was the, Only a Memory. A Girl Like You was on their next album. Only a Memory was kind of the big hit that was all over MTV back in the day. I believe they're from New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. I saw them live a couple times, but this has got a lot of Who, Beatles, Kinks influences. They're definitely big garage rock, 60s rock fans. And they have a power pop element to them as well, but every song is catchy. Every song will stick in your head. There's not a weak track on this album. This is probably their biggest selling album, if I'm not mistaken. Their third album came out just as kind of the whole grunge scene was starting to explode. So it wasn't as nearly popular as this one was, although their sound doesn't entirely sound outside of the grunge sound, but it's just a little more poppy, I guess you could say, but I love this. Unfortunately, lead singer Pat Denizio passed away a few years back, so we're not going to get any new Smithereens material, but they've done an entire cover of Beatles songs. They've done an entire cover of Who, Tommy. I don't think they did the whole album, but they did like the best tracks off of Tommy, an entire cover album. But just a great band to check out. If you've never heard of them, check them out on Spotify, and you may want to actually buy some of their stuff. All right, last album I'm going to show, Squeeze, great British band. This is, I don't think anyone would argue, their best album. This was their, trying to think, I think this was their third album, and it has so many different styles of music on here, from new wave to power pop to rockabilly, to some brooding synth pop elements on here, and they do it all very well. I mean, it's definitely got a rock styling on here, kind of by way of Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello. As a matter of fact, their song Tempted was the one that was on the radio, and they actually have as part of the band, and it was actually, there's two Squeeze albums where you have Paul Carrack on here. This was the first one, and so they kind of share vocals on the song Tempted, which was a huge radio hit for them, but every track on here is great. And Quintessence is a frenetic kind of rocker. Heaven is kind of a psychedelic pop track. Is That Love, I think, was another hit off of here. But you got Messed Around, which is a cool 50s rockabilly type track. But just great. Squeeze are one of the big underrated, I think, bands of the new wave movement. I mean, people have heard of them, but I don't think many people have dug deep into their catalog. For me, this would be the place to start. Their next album, also, Sweets from a Stranger, is a great one to have. They had an album, Babylon and On, in 1987, I think, which was the first cassette by them that I bought. But you can't go wrong. Pick anything up by them. If you happen to see them in the bins when you're out crate digging, may want to pick one of their albums up. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook were the main singer-songwriters on here. But Glenn Tilbrook especially, he's got a Paul McCartney sounding voice. It reminds me a lot of Paul McCartney, but check out Squeeze. So that is my contest for Rod. Check out Rod's channel. Give him a sub. Love you, man. Thanks for putting out awesome content all the time, and take care.